Get Ripple, the bright new drink with that ring-a-ding flavor. Ripple.
Okay, and we're back.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here. I guess we're back. We're back after Christmas.
Yeah.
We had all intentions of recording, and it just was too crazy.
When were we supposed to record? The day after Christmas or something like that? I don't know.
Christmas Day. We
oh
were
no,
gonna
that was
record.
a stupid idea.
We were.
Why did we ever agree to that?
It
in the
was
first
not
place?
going to happen. It was not. Tomorrow's New Year's
Eve.
Yes.
Oh, and remember last year? Gosh, we've been doing this for a long time now. That people got annoyed that we said New Year's.
Like plural.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's. Because I say it, but it's because it's short for New Year's Eve or
Right.
New Year's Day.
I hope you have a great New Year's. Yeah.
Great New Year.
I hope you have a great New Year.
I don't know. I don't care.
Are you making any resolutions this year? This year's?
Okay, I have to listen back to what we talked about last year.
Oh my gosh, I don't know either.
On our resolutions.
Uh-huh.
But I think mine is the exact same thing as last year, but I didn't do it right last year, so I'm going to do it right this year. Hopefully. Maybe.
Okay.
But I talked about last year how I was going to do 75 hard, right?
Right. You were doing that like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and then Christmas came around and I drank beer and champagne.
And you've got a drink in front of you.
And I have, because I'm starting tomorrow.
No, can you just
No,
stop?
I'm going to start it tomorrow. I'm going to do it all the way through. I didn't do it last year because I didn't thoroughly understand the rules. And I thought like, oh, I can just like make it up on my own. And
No, the rules are intense.
yeah,
Crazy intense.
but I'm going to do it.
You're going
So
to
if
do
you
75
don't,
hard.
yes, I'm going to do it. You want to do
Starting
it?
tomorrow. No. I like
Sorry.
alcohol.
So no alcohol for 75 days. I'll have my mocktails. You have to drink a gallon of water
I could do
every
that.
day.
I'll do that with you.
You have to take a progress picture every day.
Ooh, that's tough. But I could manage.
But it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be tough.
I know. You don't have to show anyone. It's just for your own
No,
accountability.
it's just for you. And you can do it like people do it. Sometimes they'll just do their face. Sometimes they'll just do their stomach, whatever, like, I don't know. That part's a little weird, but whatever. And then 45 minutes outside
45-minute workout inside.
and 45-minute workout inside. So you can do like for your outside, you can just go on a walk or you can go for a run or you can go for a bike ride or whatever.
And follow some form of diet.
Oh yeah, that part too.
Uh-huh. See, I know the rules. I just don't want to play.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do it and I'm going to be so tough.
I'm impressed if you do. I could do, I mean, it's not like I even drink that much. I'm not a big drinker.
But you don't want restrictions.
I mean, no,
I feel
probably
like
not.
anytime somebody tells you you can't do something, that's when you want to do it more, right?
Oh, 100%. That's my
Yeah.
attitude.
Mm-hmm. So I'm
Yeah.
going to try it. Year 2 of attempting it. And this time I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
I have faith in you. But I
Thanks.
think it sucks that you won't drink with me on the podcast.
You won't even know.
I will, though.
I won't be slurring as much.
I
There's
know.
that.
It's fun.
Tell me your plans for the New Year's.
Mine's the same every year as well. I just want to get more organized. And I feel like if I declutter my life, I will be more organized because I think the clutter is overwhelming me.
100% agree. That's like, because you know.
Did you know that anxiety is backwards. That clutter is a sign of anxiety?
I sent you that.
When?
Didn't I send you that?
No.
It was on TikTok.
And that's maybe where I saw it too.
I think
that's
it
where I get
was-
all of my information.
I think it was Jordan Peterson who said that your personal surroundings are direct reflection of your mind.
And-
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, maybe you just saw it. Maybe our algorithms have aligned.
that's possible.
Yeah.
Have you seen my like back room? That's what my mind looks like right now. Just like a bomb went off.
Yeah.
That's my mind all the time. That's my
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah.
But I want to do that. I really do. And I started today already. There's a thing called 40 bags in 40 days. Have you ever heard of that?
I have. Yeah. It was part of a minimalist
challenge.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You get rid of a bag of shit every single day for 40 days.
I want to. Maybe I'll do that too. I like that.
I started today with 4 bags. I mean, I'm not really doing it yet, but today I got rid of 4 bags of stuff.
Nice.
So I'm feeling it already.
Okay.
That's my goal. That, and I just want to be as big as Joe Rogan. I mean, is that too much to ask?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we can talk aliens and conspiracy theories
Yeah. Yeah.
and psychedelics. Should
And-
we have a psychedelic episode?
Get some mushrooms.
Talk about anxiety. Want to hear a live panic attack?
Yeah, you want to see us crying in the corner?
Just rolled up in the fetal position.
We have to do that one like on YouTube live or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. We should check in every week. Not that anybody cares, but it's our podcast, and
We could, I mean, we could say that like with our Facebook, Instagram, we could be more interactive with our listener. We could get our merch page started.
Wait, where did that come from?
These are my podcast New Year's.
goals. These are in
goals.
addition. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying different things we could do
Okay.
to be as big as Joe Rogan.
You have new glasses.
Oh my gosh, I slept with my contacts last night and I jacked up my eyes.
Oh, I like your glasses though.
Thanks. No one but you will ever see me.
Really?
I'm so self-conscious about my glass. I told you that. You know this. When I was in 8th grade.
I don't think I know this.
Oh, okay. So I started wearing glasses when I was in 4th grade. I couldn't see. Super nearsighted. And when I never wore them at school. I was supposed to. Never wore them because I'm too vain. I just won't do it. And in 8th grade, you probably remember this, we had the state's map where they put it on the overhead projector. Do you remember? And it was a blank map and it was like numbered, and we had to fill in all of the states and the capital. So number 5 would be Texas, and we'd have to write, Texas, and number 7 would be California or whatever.
That seems really hard.
Well, that was part of graduating from 8th grade. And if you passed the states and capitals test, then you got to go on the Magic Mountain
I do
field
remember
trip.
that.
Well, guess who wouldn't wear her glasses in class and failed the test?
Well, that's okay because you can practice now because I got you a U.S. state map for Christmas.
Yeah, I did. It was really, really funny. Yes, I did get that for Christmas. But yeah, I didn't get to go to Magic Mountain because I wouldn't wear my glasses.
That's a really sad story.
I know. But I can practice my maps now because that was one of my Christmas presents.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean,
Maybe that's why I suck. Can I blame it all
on your childhood trauma?
Yes.
That's why you don't know where states are and what.
Because it all comes back to being not able to wear glasses in front of people.
All right.
That's where it comes from. Hey, do you want to hear part 3 of my story?
I'm ready for it.
Do you remember where we left off on part 2?
Let's see. Florida murders. Gosh, where did we end? I don't remember.
Okay, so in the last episode, they were talking about all these different like possible suspects that, because they had the tip line, so people were calling in with names and like, oh, it's my ex-husband, he's totally the killer. Oh, it's my next door neighbor, I'm pretty sure he's the weirdo that's been killing people. But one name was coming up over and over and over again, and that was the name of Edward Lewis Humphrey. So today we're going to start off where Edward Lewis Humphrey is. So Edward was 18 years old at the time, and he had these like really deep, dark scars on his face from like a really bad car accident that he was in.
I do remember this, yes.
I'll put a picture on Instagram of him. You can tell he was in an accident. He has like these pretty severe scarring.
Real quick.
Uh-huh.
Did he do anything?
Like, did he kill people?
Yeah.
Well, he was kind of a strange man.
Okay, but you can be strange and you can have scars. That doesn't necessarily make you... Okay, he did bad things.
He kind of...
I want to know before we post his picture on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, he has a record.
Okay,
sure.
all right. I'm okay with it now.
Yeah. He, a lot of people were calling in because they suspected him of these killings. So he had actually had some ties to the murders as well. Like, he had lived in the same apartment complex, the Gatorwood apartments, as Tracy and Manny, the two friends that were living together that got murdered.
The college girls.
Mm-hmm. And he'd actually gone to the University of Florida for a short time. He had lived in these apartments, but he was told that he had to move out by the manager because of the constant fighting and yelling that was happening all the time with him and his roommates. And when he heard this news, like, hey, you need to leave, you need to move out, he didn't take it too well and kind of went a little crazy mad. And
I would be pissed too.
Well, I mean, but you kind of I'm sure that he had some warnings, like a
Yeah.
bunch of disturbance calls, and like it wasn't like just out of the blue, hey, you make too much noise, you need to leave. Like he had been warned. So
Okay.
he picks up a chair, he chucks it,
Okay, never mind. He's a jerk.
and his roommates, I guess, actually weren't that upset to see him go, because they said he was, quote, weird, and he was known to walk and talk a lot in his sleep.
Oh, that'd be annoying too.
So these weren't the only times that Edward had been violent. There were reports of him getting violent multiple times with his grandma.
Oh no.
Yeah. He was known to argue a lot. There was like harassment charges against him. He had breaking and entering and peeping charges against him. And he even pulled a knife one time on some guys that wouldn't let him into their frat house for a party. Which I hate laughing at that, but that makes me kind of laugh.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of Paul Flores.
Yeah, just angry at the world.
Well, I'm like trying to get into the party, and they're like, "No,
No,
we
you're
don't
not
want
welcome
you
here."
here."
So Edward had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, but he had recently stopped taking his medication right before the murders started.
Oh, great.
So it did kind of make sense that the authorities thought that they had their man. There had been multiple calls to that hotline that had specifically named Edward. The police made a statement to the public that they had their number one suspect and were bringing him in to be questioned. But I guess they couldn't technically hold him unless they had something against him. Like they can bring him in to talk to him, but they can't really keep him unless they have some proof.
They can't make an arrest or anything. He can leave anytime.
So they're following him around, kind of just waiting for him to mess up, and he did pretty quickly.
Oh, great.
So as the authorities are performing surveillance on Edward, they watch him go to his 79-year-old grandma Elena's house. They begin arguing, and Edward hits her. Physically hits his 79-year-old grandma.
What an asshole.
She's the one that had been doing all this stuff for him, helped him find an apartment and helped him pay for that apartment. And he just totally is an ass. So she calls the police and they're like, cool, we've got him. She files a complaint for an aggravated assault and they were actually able to take Edward away. So Edward is taken to the regional medical center and he was held for 24 hours there. The FBI interrogated him and there was no attorney present, but I guess he didn't request one at the time. And they still technically had no concrete evidence that he had anything to do with the Gainesville murders. And Grandma ends up dropping the charges once again.
Oh. I'm sorry, did you say how old he was?
18.
Okay.
So the police were able to reinstate the assault charges and his bail was set to $1 million. The media, once again, got word of what was happening and they just took the story and ran with it. Edward's mugshot was plastered all over the front page of the newspapers, but the evidence still wasn't there. The police convinced a judge to grant a warrant for his apartment and car as well as for his grandma's home to be searched. So they go to Grandma's house and I guess she wasn't there at the time. And maybe again, this is something maybe Florida does or maybe this is something else, but they read the search warrant to an empty house. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
Yeah. So no one's they go okay, we're coming in. We have a warrant. We're going to search the house. So they.
Well, okay. I mean, that kind of makes sense because.
I guess if there's no one in a car, you can search the car
if you
got
have the warrant.
Yeah,
right.
I guess it just sounds different because it's a house.
It does, yeah. Because otherwise, people could avoid being home when they knew that it was
going
coming.
To be searched.
Yeah, and they could have a loophole where oh, you can't ever search my house because I'm not there.
Yeah.
So that does kind of okay.
It just sounded weird to me.
It does, yeah.
So,
no, but that makes sense thinking about it.
No one was there. And so they're searching and they find magazines. Ready? They find magazines about guns.
Oh no.
Knives and girls.
Oh wow.
every guy I know
And a lot of girls.
very much have those magazines in their home. So that's all they found. When Grandma comes back home, she was so upset about what was happening in her house that they actually had to call the paramedics.
Oh, that's really sad.
I know. So the main thing that just kind of got everyone to believe that Edward was the killer was that no more murders were happening since he was arrested.
Oh, that's a pretty good indication.
So for more than a year, he was the primary suspect for these murders. But as, you know, DNA was kind of getting more and more used and more reliable, they found DNA on a lot of the crime scenes, and they tested Edward's blood, and his was type A, and the real killer was actually type B.
Oh, wow. So was he being held?
Well, he was being held on the charges against his grandma that the police charged.
Okay, I see.
So even though grandma dropped the charges, they, for whatever reason, were able to hold him on $1 million bail.
So maybe they had somebody who actually like witnessed it happen, and they could press charges, or she had like marks or something.
Yeah, and if they were following him and kind of watching, if they themselves saw it happen. I don't really know all the details on that, but yeah, that was it. So October rolls around, and Edward's trial is set for the assault charges against his grandma. She testifies that he didn't hit her, and that she also said over and over again that he was not the killer, but he was still sentenced to 22 months in the Chattahoochee State Hospital. Isn't that a fun word?
Oh, it's Alan Jackson.
Right. Just keeps coming back to that.
It was harder than a hoochie coochie. Whatever the hell that means.
That hospital actually housed mainly convicted murderers. So he was up against some pretty severe criminals. He was released on September 18th, 1991. He was labeled as the Gainesville slasher. Or no, not slasher. Why did I write slasher?
Ripper, right?
Yeah. I typed slasher.
Probably because you're thinking like slasher films.
I guess.
Scream being a slasher film.
He was labeled the Gainesville Ripper until Danny Rolling admitted to being the real killer much, much later. Oh, did I just like do a super...
Yeah.
Should I cut that out?
No. Wait, so, okay. So he never got caught.
Okay.
Is that what happens? He never gets caught? He admits it?
No, I'm going to take it out. Okay.
I don't know if you can now.
Oh, man. He was really... So, he was released on September 18th, 1991, and he was labeled as the Gainesville Ripper until years later. I don't know how to change it.
Are you really trying to go back now?
I was going to.
Oh, okay.
Should I not?
I mean, it's up to you. I can try to be a good actress. I don't know how well it's going to go.
Okay, I'll just keep going. I'll figure it out. I don't even know.
You can leave all of this in, and our listener
can be the unedited
can
version.
hear,
our hot
all of the
mess.
behind the scenes.
So the label of the Gainesville Ripper followed him around for years, and he was never received any kind of apology. Which, I mean, I don't really know if he deserved one because he wasn't a very nice man, but it does kind of suck to be labeled as a, mass murderer when you aren't one, I guess.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, you're still a jerk, but...
Well, before you say too much negative about him, I'm going to do Edward's, mini ripple right here.
Okay, tell me.
So, Edward, he didn't let this affect his whole life. After his release from prison in 92, he does go to college. He receives a degree from the University of Central Florida in Orlando. So he did kind of turn his life around a little bit.
Maybe he needed a little scared straight action.
Maybe he did. Okay, but why did the murders stop when Edward was arrested, right?
Oh.
Weren't you thinking that?
Yes.
Whoa. So Danny had been arrested too at the same time, but for robbery at
a bank.
Another Winn-Dixie.
Oh, the Winn-Dixie.
He'd also stolen another car and burgled some homes. And he was leaving just more and more of his, evidence trail behind him. So on September 7th, 1990, while he was robbing that supermarket, someone called the police and a high-speed chase was started, which resulted in Danny crashing the car and him being arrested. And then remember how he was like camping behind the college?
Yes.
So his tent and all of his belongings were gathered and filed into evidence. Because they have him now, they knew where he was coming from, so they, found that bag of money with all the pink dye on it.
How did they find that? If they were chasing him in a car,
I don't know if he told them or if someone else turned it in.
Or they're like, "Hey, I've seen that guy before. He lives behind the gator swamp."
Yeah, it's possible. I'm not entirely sure how they knew that was. Well, actually, let me continue because you'll kind of figure a little bit out.
Sure.
So one of the items that they collected and stored into evidence were some tapes that he liked to make. Remember how he's like doing poetry and he's singing these songs and whatever. But they just put it in the evidence locker. They don't really like listen to the tapes right away. And they did find like some souvenirs from the victims, like the duct tape he used, the tools he used for the home invasions and all that stuff. But they haven't really made the connection with him yet.
Okay.
So once the Florida investigators realized that Danny had multiple convictions for armed robbery, they figured out that he might also be the one that robbed the bank the day that Krista Hoyt's body was found, because it was like similar tools, the money with the dye, and like they're just like, dude, this guy, he's known for robbing banks, he's known for robbing supermarkets. This robbery happened the same day that this woman's body was found. So they go back to the evidence locker where all that stuff was, including the tapes, and they start to listen. So this is months and months after he's been arrested.
I would love to have that job.
Listening to tapes?
Yes, to those creepy tapes.
Yeah, I would have nightmares every single night.
Well, yeah, but that's like the same thing where like I'm home alone and I'm watching Dateline and I know I'm not going to sleep that night and I know every little noise that I hear is going to freak me out, but I still can't stop watching.
I have a few things that I fall asleep to every night. Friends, How I Met Your Mother.
Not murder tapes?
Criminal Minds.
Yes. We did that when we stayed at the Glen Tavern.
Is that what
we
fell
asleep to Criminal Minds?
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a sick disease we have.
Oh, no, but that would be so fascinating.
So on this one tape, they hear a man talking, they hear him singing, and in one of the songs, the man sings, quote,
"Sing it."
I don't know how the tune goes.
Make it up. Okay. You can do it. I believe in you. Mystery writer, what's your name? You're a killer, a drifter, gone insane. As they keep listening, they hear the man say his name, Danny Harold Rolling. Oh, so what an idiot. I love when killers are so stupid. He dug his own. Yeah. So this is a quote from one of the investigators, and it says, quote, "If we had played the tape before, we would have had this guy 3 months ago. But for some reason, somehow, that tape escaped us, and I'll freely admit it." So he's good like for them, kicking himself. Least. But yeah. But yeah, it is commendable that you admit that you fucked up. Like, I mean, obviously that's a terrible mistake to make. And luckily he didn't commit any more murders in those 3 months. Thank God. But yeah, sucks. So Danny gets life in prison for the armed robberies because he's committed so many. He mails his mom a Christmas card from jail. I'm sure she's so proud. She's still sticking up for this man. What the hell? But she also doesn't know about the murders. Oh, well, there is that. Go ahead. Just like, I don't know, like exactly what happens, but I could kind of imagine based on the history that you told me that there was probably a point in their relationship where like he stood up for her against the abusive father. And I don't know, I'm probably just totally making up all of that scenario, but I could see how they could have that like sort of connection. Yeah.
I mean, she didn't protect him nearly enough, obviously,
No.
as a mother.
It's like some weird dysfunctional shit going on where like she's gonna
It's abuse all around.
Right.
I mean, on all sides.
And that's a good point too, because like if she didn't stick up for him, she might have like some guilt that she held on to where it's like, well, I'm gonna stick up for him now. Which is all super.
She's trying to protect him at this point, but yeah. Anyways. So
they're all crap,
it sucks.
human garbage people.
Cans. So as he's waiting for his trial, he's in the prison and he talks a lot. He told his cellmate and many others all about the murders he committed. Sometimes they sounded like confessions. Sometimes they were like someone was just totally bragging. And it wasn't until early next year when authorities used a tooth extracted from Rawling to link him to the DNA evidence at the Gainesville crime scenes. So that's when he became the primary suspect for those 5 murders. Danny was formally charged with the murders of the 5 Gainesville students in June of 1992, all based on that tooth extraction. Isn't that nuts? So Bobby Lewis, he's this other inmate. He was known for being like the only man to have escaped the Florida's death row. He was serving life for murdering a drug dealer, and he becomes friends with Danny. And of course, Danny starts bragging and telling him all about the murders he committed. He told Bobby that when he was in prison back in the 80s, so like way, 10 years plus ago, he decided that he wanted to kill, and he was going to kill one person for every year he served in jail, and he served 8 years in jail. So
weird.
He blamed this desire that he had to kill on his bad side, also known as, like, he has a couple different names for him, and I'll kind of get into that in a second. But he also said it was on his father's fault and the sexual abuse he experienced while he was in prison, and also he blamed his ex-wife.
Of course.
So these 2 inmates, Danny and Bobby, they decide to have a plan, and they're going to escape prison together. Danny's going to...
So romantic.
He's going to... He likes to escape. Remember how many times he escaped before? Like when he was like picking up trash on the side of the road.
Ugh.
But he always gets caught. So he's going to fake a suicide, which would then get him moved to Bobby's ward somehow. I don't really understand how that's going to happen, but... I guess maybe Bobby's like on suicide watch, and so Danny's going to be on suicide watch.
I don't think you put people on suicide watch together, do you?
I
don't know.
I've never been to prison. So
Oh, really?
No, not yet. We'll see. So then the 2 are going to escape. This really never happened though, because on January 31st, are you laughing because I said that?
No, I was just thinking maybe we should have some of our family members on as guest appearances. They could be experts on that.
Yeah,
that
there's
particular
a few
scenario
we could have for an interview situation.
Oh yeah, we totally could.
Yeah, we'll have them at your house. On January 31st, 1993, Danny told the investigators that he wanted to confess. So he's going to confess now to the murder, to the police.
Okay.
But he wanted to confess through Bobby.
What?
So they conduct this 3-hour interview confession in which Danny never directly speaks. Instead, Bobby is being Danny's voice. So the investigators ask this question: hey, did you murder this person? And Bobby will answer, and Danny then will agree or disagree.
So they're gonna play prison inmate telephone.
Pretty much.
I hate this. No, this is okay, the whole we don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't play these bullshit games with murderers.
Yeah.
No, that's stupid.
So Danny said that he wasn't really the person to blame for these murders, though.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
It was actually his evil personality side. He said that he had dealt with multiple personalities since he was a little boy. The first one being named of Ynnad, Ynnad, which is Danny spelled backwards.
Clever.
The other one was the personality and the most evil one was Gemini. He was like a total idiot, though.
Totally reminds me of that meme that went around forever, that it's like, sorry, Karen, you can't blame your bullshit personality on being a Scorpio.
No. I've not seen
You
that
haven't
one.
seen? Okay, I'll find it and post it on the Ripple.
You do. You need to do
Oh,
that.
sorry, I was such a jackass. It's
my personality.
It's a fucking, I don't know, those
I'm a
other
Leo.
horoscopes. Yeah, like...
So this Gemini character, he had actually watched The Exorcist Part 3 in prison, and the killer in that movie...
Wait. That's allowed?
I mean, it's Part 3.
Come on, Florida.
Florida. Come on, Florida.
Like, that's... Why are they allowed to do that?
They're also allowed to work out. I mean...
Well, I agree with that a little bit more than, like... You get to
movie time?
Yes.
And scary movies?
Yes.
Maybe they should just be watching, like, Sesame Street and Barney.
Well, what was that one sheriff? I think he was in Arizona. He got, like, all kinds of shit. I liked it. I don't think it was a problem at all. But
They all wore pink.
Yeah, and they lived in a tent city.
And they only had the Weather Channel.
Just so they knew how hot it was going to be every single day. They're out at their desert tent city.
Yep.
That's the way to do it.
That you go to prison, that's what you get.
I think he may have done some other problematic things, but like as far as I know,
he had a good
like,
thought process.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, in The Exorcist Part 3, the killer in that movie was known as Gemini.
Oh,
so he just gets that
So
name
original.
and uses it. Yeah. So in that movie, the killer also decapitated and gutted a victim, which is kind of, I don't want to use the word ironic, but I don't know.
But kind of movie Inception, because like you have this movie that influenced him and then he influenced Scream.
But this movie didn't really
Weird.
influence him. This was in prison. He watched the movie.
Oh.
It just was kind of a coincidence.
Oh.
Yeah. Kind of weird, right?
Very.
Yeah. So Bobby, not Bobby Teets. This is Bobby.
Don't take me back to that episode.
Bobby gets moved to another ward soon after the confession was complete and totally pissed off Danny. But Danny soon finds a new BFF, and he pretty much did the same thing with the new guy. This new guy's name is Rusty Binstead, and confessed all the details again about the murders to him. But this time he didn't do it verbally. Instead, he wrote everything down and gave it to Rusty. So this new friend also double-crossed Danny. He keeps the letters, and Danny gave them to him with the intention that he was going to read them and then flush them down the toilet, and he didn't do that.
Oh.
So on November 15th, 1991, Danny Rolling was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of sexual battery, and 3 counts of armed burglary of a dwelling with like a battery, like a weapon.
Okay.
On February 15th, 1994, Danny decided against his attorney's advice to change his plea to guilty a few weeks before his trial started.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting that it went that direction, because I would think it would be the other way around, because the attorney is believing if he doesn't want him to plead guilty, he's of the mindset that like, hey, we can win this, right? Or am I interpreting that wrong?
I think that's just his job. He had to defend Danny, and if, he's guilty, then he kind of doesn't really...
Do you know if he was an actual hired attorney or if he was a public defender?
He's a public defender.
Oh, so he probably just wanted to play his day in court.
Get famous.
Like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He, this is just a few weeks before the trial started, and one of the main reasons that he said that he wanted to change his plea was because he didn't want the crime scene photos to get out and be seen.
He didn't want them to be seen.
Right. After he said he wanted to be a star and he wanted to be famous and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But yet he didn't want those photos seen.
Oh, that's interesting. So I wonder if there's like a tiny bit of remorse, maybe? Hopefully. Who knows?
You will see.
Okay.
So while he's in...
Oh, no, I have a theory. Never mind. He wants to sell them himself. Yeah?
We'll see. So while in prison, Danny starts getting letters from like a lot of people. They glorify and idolize these horrible people. Like they have fans, So people are starting to write to Danny
And make podcasts about him
and like put pictures of them on their Instagram and Facebook
for followers
and to
likes
get their
and
story
listens.
known. It's really sick.
It's
really
disgusting.
sick. But at least we're not going to get engaged to him because
oh no,
this lady Sondra London, she starts writing Danny these letters and saying like, hey, I'm an author or quote journalist and I specialize in like gruesome and gory writings. And so they start writing back and forth to each other. And she's like, hey, I want to write your story. I want you to tell me your story and I want to write your story.
evil genius.
And, you know, they go back and forth, but then their letters to each other start heading towards like the romance side.
No.
And they start turning into love letters. And she says that she fell in love with Danny in 93 when they first met face to face. So they together wrote the book, The Making of a Serial Killer, The Real Story of Gainesville Murders. She writes the words, he drew the illustrations.
Oh, no. Wait, this actually got published?
Uh-huh. And this is the part I want to play for you. I'm going to see if I can do it.
Wait, you found it like on YouTube or something? Please tell me you didn't buy this.
No, absolutely not.
Because I mean, I was joking earlier about like, we do walk a fine line between
Glorifying. No, I don't think we glorify.
I don't think we do at all.
But giving attention.
Exactly. And the more you're telling this story, the more obvious it is that he wants so much attention.
He says that.
Yeah. And that's really disgusting that like we kind of are giving it to him. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
We all know it's a weird taboo.
It is.
And we don't want to idolize.
No, absolutely not. We say what an asshole, what a sick person he is.
Right.
We are not putting him on
But
any
at the same
pedestal.
time, like I don't think he would care. Like I think he would be fine as long as we were talking about
saying
him.
his name.
Exactly.
So let's go back to the trial. So Danny pleads guilty, like you just said, on all counts, because he was facing the death penalty. And a jury is still required to hear the evidence and make like a recommendation on punishment to the judge, even though he pleaded guilty. And they are going to either decide if he should get life in prison or the death sentence.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So opening arguments begin on Tuesday, March 7th, 1994. And the prosecution explained in detail the cold-blooded and premeditated crimes that Danny had committed in hopes that he would receive the death sentence. Obviously, that's what they want him to get. He showed the evidence against Danny, like the DNA matches with the semen found at 3 of the sites, items found at his campsite, including the screwdriver, the duct tape, the pair of black pants that had stained blood from Manny on them, a handwriting match from a note that was found at one of the scenes, and the many details of the murders and the crime scenes told to inmates by Danny, plus proof of purchase, which is kind of funny, of the K-bar knife matching the one that was used in the murders. And then they also brought into the courtroom the handwritten confessions that were given to Rusty by Danny himself. And then finally, they had the videotaped confession he made to the investigators through Bobby Lewis. So all of this evidence is obviously, proving the point that, he did, in fact, kill these people. In total, there were 8 counts of armed robbery and 1 count of attempted robbery, 1 count of armed bank robbery, and 2 counts of aggravated assault of a police officer committed over 4 different states. To prove to the jury that Danny was, in fact, a violent and sadistic killer who knew that, what he was doing and that he had actually planned on killing and torturing his victims, these details were shared with the jury. Danny had also mentally tormented them. He told them everything that he planned to do to them before he killed them.
Is that just based on
what he said?
Oh God, I hope that's not true.
And that just adds they're already probably thinking like they're gonna die. This man is taping them up, taping their mouth shut. They're panicky, horrible, but he's probably telling them what he's gonna do.
You know what? I'm gonna just go out there and say that he's probably full of shit, and I base that on having like no witnesses ever hear anything.
He's trying to be more of a badass.
I think so. I think that he thought that made him look tougher and more just like out there and evil, and he's like really hell-bent on being the creepy goth guy. I hope so. Yeah.
So it takes the jury 2 days to make their decision. The jury had decided that Daniel Rawlings should receive the death penalty for each murder by a vote of 12-0. On the day of sentencing, 3.5 years after the murders were committed, the judge reviewed all evidence presented as well as what the jury had decided and ordered that Daniel Harold Rawlings be sentenced to death.
Good.
So, a little side note here, Danny had also confessed to like his spiritual advisor to the 1989 murders of William Grissom, his daughter Julie, and the 8-year-old grandson Sean that had happened like in the first episode, remember?
Yes.
In Shreveport, Louisiana.
That was really, really sad.
But those 3 plus the 5 is 8.
I hate it.
And this is the note that he gave to his spiritual advisor. It says, quote, "In order to fulfill all things, that no stone be unturned, hereby I make a formal written statement concerning the murders of Julie, Tom, and Sean Grissom in my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana. Hal Carter, Julie Grissom's former fiance, is 100% innocent." Because remember, at first they thought it was him, and they kind of like splattered his name all over the news, and it followed him around. "Totally pure of that crime. I and I alone am guilty. It was my hand that took those precious lights out of this old dark world. With all my heart and soul, would I could bring them back. Being
Really?
a native son of Shreveport, I can only offer this confession of deep felt remorse over the loss of such fine, outstanding souls." And then another quote.
Wait, what?
I don't know. It says, "Have wept an ocean of tears by which mournful doth float upon a sea of regret." And I don't know if that's a quote from something else. I should have looked into that more. Or if that's something that he just wrote. So it sounds like he's being like really like apologetic.
But only of those 3?
Of those 3.
What?
Yeah. And he doesn't want, the other guy, Hal Carter, to have any more blame. He wants to like clear his name.
That's nice,
I guess. I
don't know. That's so bizarre. That's not at all what I was expecting. I mean, I certainly hope that that's the truth.
I know.
Because like, what if the other dude really did kill him and he wanted to claim 3 more just to get to his 8?
But they had all the same, the duct tape, the posing of the bodies. There's too many similarities.
He wouldn't fake, I wouldn't think he would fake remorse. I would think that based on his character in like previous interactions, he would take pride in being a asshole murderer.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Maybe it's just like the best spiritual advisor like that ever to walk this earth to like make him feel remorse and take ownership over his shitty actions that ruined so many lives.
It does take a special person to go into a situation where you know that these people have committed these horrible things and you still have to be kind of nice to them.
Ooh, that's very true. I could not do that.
So,
I could
maybe
not do that at all.
Maybe.
I'm not even nice to people I interact with in daily Now, I try to be.
So, even though the Shreveport police had an open warrant for these murders and for Danny's arrest, and because of Danny, admitted to the killings, Louisiana never pursued like the extradition because they figured that like he's already got the death sentence in Florida, and they have a better chance, at just keeping him there.
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. So he never officially got like charged with that, because they didn't want to fuck it up. And, you know, maybe they bring him to Louisiana and the jury goes, oh yeah, he did it, but we're not going to sentence him to death. So kind of interesting that way.
But that they're not going to reverse the Florida charges regardless. It's almost like, what's the point? He's already there, so there's no point in like wasting time and resources.
Right.
But it's not going to reverse anything.
No.
But at the same time, like, I feel kind of bad for the friends and families of the victims because they don't really get their day in court and they don't really get to see. I don't know. I wonder if they were consulted in that decision.
They may
I hope
have been.
so. I'm going to say they were.
They were.
Okay.
Because
that makes me
there's
feel
going
better.
to be a little bit more about that.
Oh, okay, good.
So Danny, he does try to appeal the death sentence, arguing that get ready for this, that lethal injection is considered cruel and unusual punishment.
Shut the fuck up.
He also tried to say that it would be violating his First Amendment right because if the chemicals were administered incorrectly, he wouldn't be able to speak and let them know he was in pain.
Oh, well, we'll make sure we do it right. Don't you worry about that at all.
Let's just put duct tape over your mouth then. How about that?
How about lead poisoning? Let's do that.
So he's
It's like a 45.
when all of this is going on, that chick, Sondra, like, and him are still communicating. They're still talking and, you know, writing their book and their love stories and whatever.
I hate her.
And, I do too. So he's in court appealing or trying to appeal this death sentence. And I'm going to play this for you.
Okay.
The rules say you have to give Mr. Rawling an opportunity to have a say. You have anything you want to say, Mr. Rawling? Well, sir. If it please the court, could I address the court? Sure. Say whatever you want to say. Thank you. I recall the day I first saw
This
you.
is him singing.
I reached out to say I love you, but it was
She's
hard
standing
to
there
say.
smiling at him.
I couldn't touch you.
Oh, I hate her so much.
Tell me, baby, what were my words? All
Can
my
somebody
tears
please throat punch him?
Excuse me, Mr. Rawlings. Down the path you choose, Mr. Rawlings, to follow.
That's the judge trying to
Mr.
interrupt.
Tell me, baby, what were my
Taser.
words? All my tears run together. What
His
were
attorney's
my
trying to get him to sit down.
words? All my
Not very
tears
hard.
run together, baby. Just
He's at the
like
perfect
that.
ball punching spot.
Okay, you get one song
Look at her.
answer, Mr. Rawlings. We're not here so that you can address your friend. We're here for sentencing.
So
Wow.
I don't know if you can hear very well, but he's at the end. He says, "Sit down, Mr. Rawling. We're not here for you to sing."
Ah, what's that?
It's the
Oh.
next video. Hello Fresh, sponsored by.
Right, I wish. Try offer code Ripple. Tell us what happens.
See if that works. So he's pretty much proposing to her in song during his, you know, appeal for the death sentence.
No, that shouldn't have been allowed.
She's smiling.
I hate them.
She's just like looking all goo-goo eyed at him.
I hate them so
Oh,
much.
and if you hear some interviews with her, she's disgusting. She's so gross.
I don't even need to. I can already tell. I will say I love how on that video they panned to the court reporter who was like furiously typing out all of those words as fast as she can.
She's like, what
That
is
was
he
she's like,
saying?
what the fuck? Oh man. But it's also so creepy to see somebody express that type of emotion knowing that they are a brutal murderer. To like be so I don't
He's
know.
trying to be all lovey-dovey and
Yeah,
sweet and-
it's
yeah, he's
it's
pretty gross.
cringy. I hate it.
So the Sondra chick, a little bit more about her. She
Why?
she also wrote a book on vampirism with French killer Nicolas Claux, Claux. I've never heard of him.
Okay.
And he also illustrated that book. And then maybe this is what like started her on her whole like obsession with serial killers. But her boyfriend in high school actually turned out to be serial killer Gerald John Schaefer.
Oh, she sure does have a type.
She knows how to pick him, right?
I feel like we've talked about him.
Schaefer?
Mm-hmm. He's come up before.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah. So the execution of Danny Harold Rawling was set for October 25th, 2006. I feel like this should have happened. Oh, can I have some more of that?
Yeah.
I need some after this.
Okay. I hope you heard that cork pull on this whiskey bottle. Are you good? More?
Yeah, that's perfect. So as we're drinking our whiskey here, what would you guess his last meal consisted of?
Gosh. Something awful because he's a garbage person. So I'm going to say like Jack in the Box, 2 for $99 tacos.
Ew.
And some KFC coleslaw.
Ew.
Like none of the good chicken, but like just that nasty ass coleslaw. And for dessert, maybe like one of those gross ass rubbery, Adam loves them, honey buns, like the Hostess honey, like just complete trash garbage.
Maybe a freezer burned ice or popsicle.
Yeah, like, and he likes them that way,
Yeah.
like a fudgesicle.
Yeah. Well, you're way off because his last meal consisted of lobster tail, butterfly shrimp, baked potato, strawberry cheesecake, and sweet tea. Like, why do you get that?
I don't know. That'd be really interesting. Like, okay, since you're listening to the behind the scenes, I've been wanting to do a Ripple episode where we talk about like all of these little side stories that they're not long enough to do a full-on episode about, but just like, oh, how did this whole last meal thing come about, and why are we still doing it? You know, like I'd be curious to know the history behind that and why it's like still a thing.
I want to be that chef.
Oh,
I want to cook that food for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be a good job. I will listen to the murder tapes.
And I'll cook
And
the last
you can
meals.
cook the last meals. There we go.
Mm-hmm. So Danny shows no remorse, and he refused to make any comments or offer any apology to the relatives of the victims that are pretty much going to watch him be put to death. Including, or people that were there were some of the relatives of the 5 Gainesville slain, as well as 3 members of the Grissom family. So even though he didn't admit to killing the Grissom family until very close to his execution, they had already talked with that family to be present during his execution.
Oh,
So they did, have that
that's
opportunity there.
nice in the most horrific possible way of being nice. Like, I'm glad that happened.
So the little boy Sean, who was murdered at age 8, he would have been turning 25 the day before Rawling's execution, which I thought was kind of really sad.
That is really, God, that's so young.
So when asked for a last statement, Danny sang again for 2 minutes what sounded like a hymn, with the refrain, quote, "None greater than thee, O Lord, none greater than thee." He appeared to continue singing after prison officials turned off the microphone, finally stopping just before he died. He was executed by lethal injection and pronounced dead at 6:13 p.m. He was the 63rd death row inmate put to death in the state since Florida resumed executions in 1979. Across the road from the prison, groups of people gathered for both, like, for the death penalty and against it. And it was the largest turnout for an execution since Ted Bundy.
Wow. How is it that, like, this case
It's not nearly as
well known
infamous
today? Like, it obviously was very, very well known and not that long ago, but it just kind of disappeared.
Maybe because of the numbers. I mean, Bundy killed, 30 people?
I don't know. A lot.
So, as family members left the execution building, they carried white roses, and the roses were symbolizing peace, hope, and remembrance of their loved ones. White ribbons had also been added to a living memorial of trees and plants, and across from the plants, a large wall was painted with the names of the 5 Gainesville students. So this is the beginning of my ripple. So that wall with the Gainesville students' names on it, It was like this graffiti wall that was just constantly like being painted over with different names or taggings or pictures or whatever. But whoever went out there and painted it white and then wrote the Gainesville students' names on it, no one, that was kind of like sacred area. Like no one would graffiti over that spot. And it has actually remained unchanged for more than 30 years now.
Oh, wow.
So all 5 victims are painted in remembrance. So it says Sonia Larson, Christina Powell, Krista Hoyt, Manuel or Manny Tobata, and Tracy Paulus. And a quote from Diana Hoyt, who is, Krista's stepmom. It says, quote, "It's a place for all of us families to go and see their children's names still living there."
Oh.
I know. So the victims' families actually ran an advertisement in the Gainesville Sun. I subscribed to the Gainesville Sun to get some of these articles. And it just thanked the community for its support. And they said, quote, "We hope you will remember August 1990 and the years that followed without any sense of community shame for what has happened here. You turned a blemish into a rose."
That's like really sweet, but I don't know.
It's heartbreaking.
I don't know how to feel about that.
And a little more of my ripple here, because, ripples go on and on and on and on. Something positive that came out of this. Congress actually passed the Clery Act, Clery, Clery Act.
I don't know that.
It requires college campuses to report on all crimes that either happen on campus or near the vicinity of the campus. The information is open for the public to view, and the law requires all universities and colleges to submit statistics regarding crimes committed. The incident in Gainesville was one of the many reasons Congress passed the Clery Act. The president of every college has to sign an affidavit for every crime on campus. So, like the students that are applying to that school, they know whether there is a high crime rate and how that school deals with those crimes.
Oh, wow.
So you can kind of choose like, oh, Cal Poly Pomona, what's the crime rate looking at like there and how do they deal with it?
No, all the murders happen at San Luis Obispo, and that's nutty. Well, I don't know. Actually, we've got a few of our own, too. I don't think our listeners know that that's where I went to school.
Cal Poly Pomona. She went to school, Cal Poly Pomona. They know where I went to school. I went to the mental institution.
Yeah,
in
you
Camarillo.
did. You went to the asylum.
And then the last thought of my story. So listen to this. Just a week before the murders began in Gainesville, Florida, it was ranked number 13 as the best place to live in the U.S. by Money Magazine.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that nutty?
Jeez.
And that's
a shame.
The end of my Gainesville Ripper 3-part series.
That is a trip. That really was an adventure. And I had like a lot of feelings about talking about him because he seemed like he wanted to be talked about so much, which kind of made me uncomfortable. But then it like, I'm
not trying to glorify him at all.
And I really think, and it would be really interesting to do like a little side episode, a little short story about this spiritual advisor or people who do jobs like that, because it really seemed like, I don't know, maybe because his death was coming closer and closer that he's like, oh, I
might as well get it off my chest
right
now.
I'm gonna like have
I did tell you
of remorse.
I feel like that's a kind of a job like a chaplain. Like it takes such a special
we
person.
talked about that,
and I know the Ventura County chaplain,
which is
chaplain.
Just gotta be such a hard job.
I
hope they get free therapy for life.
I don't know. I wonder if they even need it, if they're just one of those people that just can.
They're like, Jesus is their therapy?
The guy I know, he really is.
Yeah.
That Jesus is his therapist. 100%.
That's awesome. Good for him.
I couldn't do it.
No, I could not.
And I don't know what I could deal with worse in the chaplain scenarios or in the spiritual advisor on death row scenarios.
I wonder if they're like different parts, just different stages of the same job, you know?
Ugh. I don't know. They deserve a halo.
Oh.
Was that nice?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think so. Okay. You ready for a last thought and a shot?
I am. I gotta finish this whiskey because I am. Whew. That was a rough story.
It really was.
A lot of. I mean, researched for a long time on this.
Gave me a really big break for not having to do a book report for 3 weeks.
Yeah, plus some.
But I will say, and I texted you earlier, my story is just about done. I could probably record tomorrow if you wanted to.
You little overachiever, you.
Hey, it was a rainy day. I didn't really leave my house. I haven't even put a bra on today, and it's 8:30 p.m. right now.
Me either.
So today's a good day.
Okay, last thought and a shot. Last thought and a shot. Last thought and a shot. Are we
just
doing
have to
two
say-
truths and a lie, or are we doing last thought and a
No,
shot?
I have a different game that's
Okay.
not either of those.
Okay.
I just want to say right now, but we're recording in my house because it's raining. We can't, I don't know. It's just easier to record from my house right now
Then the pod loft.
than the pod loft.
With the bat.
And with the bat. I miss our bat friend. Maybe he'll be happy that we're gone for a while. But our laughing just set off my Furbo right now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, yeah. My Furbo alert, by the way, if you don't know, it's like a little alarm for like when a dog is barking or like howling or
Making loud noises.
Yeah. So that's what we did. Okay. So I did not even plan this to correlate so closely to like how you ended that episode. Like, I swear to God, I mean, I'm sure you guys can like pick up on the fact that we usually research this last thought in a shot
After
like,
the story is
after
done.
the story, we hit pause and just pull some bullshit up on our phone. I honestly had this planned out before.
I saw you looking at your phone.
Sorry.
It's very distracting.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You know I need to get out of here.
Yeah, you have a time limit. But I really wanted to do a last meals selection since I knew this guy was going to end up on death row.
Uh-huh.
And then you ended up talking about his last meal. So I'm going to read you a couple of notorious killers who were executed. And then I'm going to read you a list of last meals. And I want to see if you can match up. I'll
I
just
like
do
this
like
game.
3.
I like this game.
Because I know we got to be quick.
Okay, go.
So Timothy McVeigh.
Ugh.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, he was the infamous Oklahoma City bomber. See, that's what happens when I drink.
I know. I love it.
All right. Then we have John Wayne Gacy,
Ew. The
who,
clown.
for those of you who don't know, yeah, he was the killer clown, and he killed a bunch of young men who he like lured into his
Sick, twisted.
yeah, exactly. Just a second.
Are you going to tell me what state they were executed in? Because I don't know. I mean, not that it matters. I'm curious now about states that have execution. And I know that there's people listening that probably don't believe in
execution and the death
penalty.
penalties. Yeah, it's a very morally like complicated.
Questionable. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm for it, but then again, like the more you learn about the justice system, especially doing this podcast, you realize like how many times cases are fucked up, and you're like, oh, that'd be awful.
Well, and so, and you are reading about, people that just want it closed and so they can move on to the next thing, and maybe they're pinning it on somebody that.
Yeah, there's
didn't
some
really-
incentive for that, especially if there's like an election coming up, like and they're nominating, okay, who's going to be elected the next sheriff of the county or whatever.
In this one, he did admit to it, so
yeah, and it seems
there
like it
was
was
no
fairly
question.
clear. Okay, Ted Bundy, who is the next on my list. Do you want to just do 3?
Sure, let's do 3.
Okay, let's do 3. And for those of you who don't know, Ted Bundy was
Go listen to any other podcast. But
yeah,
ours.
basically.
'Cause
Okay,
we're
I'm
never
not
gonna-
even. Yeah,
we're never gonna
no,
cover him.
He raped and kidnapped and killed a lot of people.
Like 30 some people.
You're very true. Very, very,
Very
true.
true.
You're very true. That's a true fact, Reza.
Is it 30?
It was 30.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now let me read you the meals really quick.
Okay.
So meal number 1.
McVeigh, Gacy, or Bundy, right? Those are my options.
Those are your options. So meal number 1, steak done medium rare,
Ew.
eggs over easy,
What?
toast with butter and jelly, milk, coffee, juice, hash browns.
like
Okay.
breakfast for dinner.
Breakfast for dinner. I kind of feel like that's what I would order.
That's what I had today for dinner. I made cinnamon French toast, scrambled eggs, and sausage.
Breakfast is truly the best meal of the day, any time of day. All right. Next up, we have, how about some mint chocolate chip ice cream?
That's it?
Just a big old, it was actually as a big old bowl, more than a big old bowl, because it was 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Huh.
All right.
Okay.
And then we have a bucket of KFC fried chicken,
Ew.
French fries, and a pound of
Holy
strawberries.
hell. Oh, strawberries. Okay. I'm going to say Gacy was the breakfast.
You would be incorrect.
Oh. Bundy was the last one.
You would be incorrect.
Oh. Well, I don't even know then.
Okay.
I got 2 wrong.
So Timothy McVeigh, who was Oklahoma City bomber, he was the one who requested the 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Okay.
John Wayne Gacy, remember, he was the colonel. He had his own KFC franchise.
Why didn't I not remember? Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just thinking
so,
clown. I don't know why.
Yeah, he did have the bucket of fried chicken and the and the pound of strawberries, but he was never actually told whether or not the fried chicken was from a KFC. I would imagine that it was. It was probably way cheaper that way.
Yeah.
He also got like a bunch of shrimp and a bunch of French fries and like other things on top of that, but those
Greasy.
were like the 2 main things.
Yeah.
And then finally we had Ted Bundy, who got the breakfast for dinner or whatever you want to call it. So he ordered all of that, but he actually didn't, like, he wasn't able to take a single bite, which I kind of understand.
Because you're going to die?
Yeah. Like, I don't think I would have, like, I don't think I could eat either, knowing that.
I have a friend who she says when she is stressed is when she looks her best because she can't eat.
Oh, yeah. No, I've been there too.
Uh-huh.
For sure.
Yeah. When you're happy is when you're fat. Because
Yes.
you're just like, life is good. I'm going to have some chocolate.
100%. No, I
So
totally agree with
I
that.
kind of understand where he's coming from on that one.
What would your last meal be?
We've talked about this before.
Oh, we have?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember.
I remember I said mine would just be a big ass thing of like fresh French bread and like really good butter.
Oh, that's really good.
Just, I love bread and butter.
That's really good. What did I say?
I don't remember. Probably meat.
Probably.
Some
Probably.
carcass of an animal.
All of the bacon and eggs that you have.
Yeah.
Now, excuse me, son. I think that you're misinformed and thinking. Wait, no, that was wrong.
I don't know where you're going
No,
with that.
I'm drunk and I'm trying to quote a line from Parks and Rec, but it's not coming right. But when Ron Swanson is like, no, I think that you're thinking that I just want a lot of bacon and eggs, but no, I want all of the bacon and eggs that you have.
I wouldn't have known that quote. I mean, I've
I
seen Parks and
know.
Rec.
I've tried to make you watch it.
I've
Just like you've
watched
made
it.
me watch The Office, but I'm just not.
I'm more of an office girl.
And he also has the turf and turf with scotch.
God, I know this way too well.
I would also do a turf and turf. That would be good.
Turf and turf.
Mm-hmm.
That's beef and beef?
It was just a steak and steak. Instead of steak and lobster, it's
Oh, yeah, because you
steak
can't have
and steak.
seafood anymore.
No, but if I were going to die, I would just go for it, you know?
true.
Like, I love eating crab. I don't know if it's going to kill me
You
or
got
not
crabs?
because I have weird allergies. But if I were going to be executed, I'd just go for it.
Shrimp gumbo, shrimp kebab,
Fried chip, shrimp,
boiled shrimp.
butterfly shrimp, coconut shrimp,
Okay.
Cajun shrimp,
Well, happy
butter shrimp.
New Year's.
Happy New Year's.
And cheers to 2022.
Cheers.
Yay.
Why don't we cheers to 2021 that it's over? Like, how does that work? Probably fucking that up too.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's.
And don't forget to be a fountain.
Not a Jane.
Bye-bye.
Bye.